Hey YouTube, it's me. I just wanted to do a little bit of an update. I've reshot this video like 3 times now, so I keep going on track for like ever and talking about nothing and then everything that's super important. But I think I finally nailed down the topic of this video, so let's just jump into it. So today I want to talk about recovery and like stigma around mental health. I've not been doing well lately. I've been having suicidal thoughts, and a lot of people think, oh, well, she should be in the hospital then. No, I disagree. Just because I've been having suicidal thoughts lately does not actually mean I'm going to kill myself. It just means that the thoughts are there, and the thoughts are rather intrusive in order for me to actually be saying it. Because the thoughts are always there. I have borderline personality disorder. People with BPD, at least in my experience, everyone with BPD is different, but for me personally, I am suicidal probably around 40-50% of the time. If it's a bad day, I'm just suicidal. It doesn't mean I'm going to commit suicide, it just means that it's a serious thought on my brain and that I'm highly considering it. People think, oh, she's in therapy, so she's not going to be depressed anymore when she's done therapy. But the reality is for someone like me, I will never be done therapy. I will need to go for the rest of my life. My depression, my BPD, it's never going to be, like, it gets better, but it's never going to be cured. People do sometimes, 1 in 4 people I know, something like that, will suffer from mental illness at one point in their life. Some people suffer for their entire lives. It's not a situational thing. It's just, I have borderline personality disorder, generalized panic disorder, major depressive disorder, and anxiety disorders. So, yeah, my life's just gonna suck forever. And people who are healthy don't understand that, or people who have gone through situational depression don't understand that. They're like, oh, well, if you just take some antidepressants for a few months, like, you'll get better. And I'm so glad that the people who experience situational depression can take some antidepressants and get better. That's awesome. And, like, hell yeah to you, you got better. That's not my reality, and people are like, oh, well, how do you know, blah, 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 and all this stuff. Well, unfortunately, it's just my reality with the disorders I've been diagnosed with. I just am going to have these for the rest of my life. They're not situational. They are chemical imbalances, and unfortunately for me, I have negative reactions to many medications, so I am one of those people that has to manage their symptoms on their own. I do use medical marijuana, but, whatever. A lot of things are happening right now in my life that I feel like I don't have control over, and that's a really sad thing for me. Unfortunately, it does mean that my eating disorder is in full swing, and with BPD, it does mean that I cycle really fast, so some days I restrict, I don't eat. Other days I'm binging and I'm eating junk all the time. Fortunately, because of my surgery, I am unable to purge, so I am not dealing with bulimia at the moment, but it has been in my history when I was able to purge. Fortunately, one of the good things with having weight loss surgery for me is not being able to throw up, so I'm not struggling with bulimia, because I believe that if I was able to throw up, I would be purging after binging. And yeah, and people think, oh, well, she goes to therapy for her eating disorder, so she must not have an eating disorder anymore. That's not true. I have eating disorders. I will always have eating disorders, whether I'm engaging in eating disorder behavior or not. It is just a reality of being me that I have eating disorders. And yeah, it sucks. But I'm really sick of people thinking that just because I'm acting okay doesn't mean I'm okay. Like, and just because I'm in therapy doesn't mean that everything's better. Generally, when I'm going to therapy, things are at their worst, actually. If I'm taking time to actually go to therapy and I'm actually going, I'm not canceling, then yeah, I'm probably at one of the worst moments because I don't like to go to therapy. Therapy is not fun. They make you unpack stuff from your past that you don't want to unpack. You basically learn something new every time, new trauma or something that isn't right, or you've dealt with and you thought you dealt with, but you didn't deal with it right, and it's just not that fun of a time. People make it out to be this huge fun thing, but I'm like, holy crap, no, therapy sucks. And like, my eating disorder therapy is a little bit different. I do group therapy, and it is great, and I have met a bunch of wonderful people, and we're there for each other, so that's not terrible. But I'm not gonna lie and say I don't come home crying every once in a while, because I do. Like, you learn stuff about yourself, you have these aha moments, and then you just, like, you deal with them. And having anxiety disorders does mean I don't deal with them properly or well or the same way, like, that other people do. And I'm just really tired of people that are healthy or, have had situational mental health issues. They don't understand that chronic mental health issues are here to stay, and basically you get tired of fighting, and being actively having suicidal thoughts is not the be all and end all of everything. Like, I don't need to be in the hospital. What I really need right now is understanding and support, and I really just need people with their comments to stop. I don't think people realize how much of an effect that they have on people with mental illness when they make comments on social media. And it's really scary to think about, but like, if you're making fun of someone on social media to them, like, whether it's politics or anything, if you think about, like, the things you say, like, for example, like, people tell me to kill myself all the time. They don't realize they told an actively suicidal person to kill themselves. And I mean, like, really, that's not their fault, but at the same time, like, you never know the struggles people are going through, and that in their struggles may be the reason why they have views that are different than you. And I think it's super important to just, instead of yelling and saying, oh, you're horrible because you believe this, be like, okay, what in your life happened that you're so opposed to this? Or what in your life has happened that you're so for this? Why are you so passionate for this? Because, like, looking at me, you'd never know. I have gay dads. Even being around me in person, I'm high-functioning borderline personality disorder, which means in person I am bubbly as hell. Like, I am a bubbly person. I make jokes, I laugh, I'm the life of the party 90% of the time, except when I'm having severe anxiety. But, like, you'd never know until you asked me all these things about me. And it's annoying. Like, people don't care anymore. And I think as a society, we need to start caring about each other. Like, we need to realize, like, maybe I fight for social justice because I myself am pansexual. That's true. And yeah, or, maybe I was bullied as a kid. Also true. Like, I have all these things in my life, and people that haven't experienced it don't realize, like, that one action leads to another, leads to another. One of the huge things right now is the sex education curriculum in Ontario has been repealed and replaced with one from 1998. And so it gets rid of everything talking about safe queer sex. It gets rid of everything talking about gender identity. It gets rid of a lot about talking about active ongoing consent. And to me, that's terrifying. I'm very open. I have been sexually assaulted in my life. I'm very open to talk about it because I feel like if I talk about it, then maybe it won't be this big shameful thing. Sometimes I do experience shame from it, but I feel like, I've dealt with that. It wasn't my fault, and I can understand it a little bit better. It sucks. But to no longer be teaching children active ongoing consent, it will lead to more sexual assaults. And then people are like, oh, but what about the gay sex? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, straight kids aren't going to start having gay sex because they were taught how to do it safely. Gay kids are going to have gay sex, and now they're not going to die of STDs because they've been told that condoms are appropriate for them too, and proper hygiene, and things are great. Why would we want to stifle progress? And, like, people get mad about society progressing, and they think, oh, well, there's less God, and there's less that, but there's not. I mean, like, there's not. We're just not congregating in churches anymore, but that doesn't mean that we're not spiritual and we don't believe in being good humans. We're just good humans different than your good humans, but we're still not hurting anyone. And yeah, and just to call all these people horrible and that they should kill themselves and all this crap because it's not what you believe. It's kind of makes you a horrible person. It makes you a bully. I'm sitting here crying because I fear for all the women who are going to be sexually assaulted because kids are no longer being taught proper consent, and those kids are going to grow up and not know how to obtain consent, and they're going to sexually assault people. That's just how that works. And you're sitting here yelling at me because you think that the way I have sex is a sin. To me, the whole non-consent thing is a sin, not using condoms. Either way. Telling someone to kill themselves online is just not appropriate, and people need to start talking about mental illness more, and sure, freedom of speech, whatever. Just because you're free to do it doesn't mean you should sometimes. You shouldn't use your freedom of speech to spread hate. You should use your freedom of speech to spread love. And you shouldn't use your freedom of speech to hurt others. Sure, you're free to do it, but did you really mean to do it? Like, did you take time? Did you think about it? Like, everything you say plants a seed. And do you really want to be the person who's planting poison ivy, or do you want to be the person who's planting food or something beautiful, some beautiful flowers or food to nourish people? Do you really want to be the one planting poison? It's just something to think about. Like, yeah, you have the right to freedom of speech. The government is not going to prosecute you for anything you say. But at the same time, it doesn't make you any less of an asshole. And I have the freedom of speech to call you out on spreading hate. So just be careful. Watch this hate you spread and talk about mental health. Talk to your friends about their mental health. You don't want to be the reason your friend doesn't talk to you anymore. People are really good at hiding their mental illness. I'm one of them. So, that being said, bye YouTube.